Friend, this is gonna need to change. Change is good, right? We need to change, we need to grow, we need to evolve. Nah, everything is changing so fast. Like, there is so much change lately, everything is changing. We should slow down, like, we should stay traditional. Who is right and who is wrong? I don't know, and I don't think they know either. But one thing is clear. It's like the most important thing we have in life, the most valuable thing we have in life. Take your guess what it is. It's love. But actually, change is rather closer to time than love. Like time, change is just going to happen to whatever we like it or not. And like with time, what we can do about it is to work with it, but just do not pay attention to it and let it flow. Through my life, I kinda did fall in love with it. Without it, I wouldn't be here recording my video. I wouldn't move here to this beautiful country. I wouldn't meet the love of my life. So thanks to change, my life became kinda amazing, you know? The thing is that we can learn how to work with change in a way that it can move in the direction that we would like it to move. For me to learn, I need to see things visually, so I can use those metaphors to my systems that I use. So let me disconnect to how I changed my life to achieve the goal that I wanted to achieve before. Losing weight, because that's basically the biggest goal I did in my life that I really wanted to achieve. And the same system that I'm gonna apply now when I'm gonna be building my stories. So maybe you can get inspired and do some of this stuff as well. There is one thing that I wanted to do. That's the position of the table that I spent a lot of time on because I was trying to finish my high school, my matric, maturita, the paper that everyone kind of wants to get, and I wasn't any different. Well, I am different, but I still wanted to get it, as many others in my position that actually can get it. I would like to change the position of this table from here, when it's just a shade in the corner so the video doesn't really look as nice, to here. Right there. So I can have a nice background. I'm gonna feel like I'm basically sitting at the nature, and it's gonna introduce where I live more to you better than me sitting in a dark corner in front of a white wall, right? To change the position of the table, right? You can say it's kind of a perfect metaphor because it has so many little steps that we need to take to make the change. To get to this position, I already went through a change. I wanted to become a software engineer, an IT guy, the guy that can fix your Wi-Fi. So for that, it was kind of perfect. It provided me with a little bit of view, and the only problem was that the light was reflecting from the floor to my face all the time. So I was squinting. It annoyed me so much when I was studying so many times. But while I was studying, I realized one thing. To become an IT guy would require of me sitting at the table, basically all the time. And I honestly really struggled with that unless I was medicated. Why I needed to be medicated, you may ask? That's gonna be in a future episode. I always felt like 20s are the time to find something that you would like to work on. And even though I believe the story that I would like to be focusing on coding, honestly, I definitely wanted to give this a shot. Maybe there is other way to do what I want to do, really. So now, when I decided that I want to change and where I want the change to flow, first step is to change my environment. Part 1, the importance of small changes, because even though they may not seem so important in the beginning, they are a foundation of a big change. So the main thing I want to change is the table, right? And when you look at it, there is a lot of stuff around the table, and I promise this is definitely not just an excuse to finally clean my table. There is a chair, there is a lot of stuff on the table, and the huge block. And you may ask yourself, why do you have such a huge block in front of your table? Well, I bought it for workouts, but there's a lot of stuff that we buy for working out at home. They just end up like a new space to put stuff on. And that is the last thing that we cannot forget. That is a carpet, right? If you ever tried to roll wheels on a carpet, you probably know that it's not the most easiest thing to do. But the amazing thing about small changes is that they build up momentum. They can break down the big goal into smaller pieces. So technically, we're gonna get satisfaction along the process, and it's like a stepping stone that will get us to the final change that we can get to. But that's enough talking, and now we finally should start moving, right? But finding time for change is difficult. We sometimes in life need to prioritize the things that are the most important at the time. That necessarily doesn't always needs to be changed. I wanted to put it out there because I know a lot of people are trying to change and they have so much in life on their plate, like work, school, kids. I don't think that at that time you necessarily need to force yourself to change. I think there is beauty in being the same for a little bit and to have a routine that works for you and that helps you prioritize whatever you're working on right now. It brings certain stability, and in the world where things really are changing all the time, we can feel safe. So if you are in that category, you can still listen to your good old friend Dennis, that will tell you how he did his changes, and when one day maybe you're gonna decide that you would like to change, rewatch this video and see what I did. The weather changed outside. That's a kind of funny way to prove a point, so thanks nature. Not that I wouldn't like rain and I wouldn't like storms, I think they bring certain beauty with them. But we rely on a solar energy here, so if there is storms few days in a row, that means that there is no sun, right? And no sun means no energy for us, so no hot water and a little bit of stress, like when a battery in the phone is dying and you don't have a charger. Do you know that feeling? Yeah, that's pretty much the same. Cutting out the distraction can be one of the little changes that we did here to try to create space, right? We have a lot of space now to move the table wherever we want. And one of the biggest distractions we have these days is the screen time, you know? It's a screen, you know? I would like to say, yeah, our young generation has problems with screen time, but all generation nowadays does. It's not only us younger generations, and let me still count myself in the younger generations, but I'm closer to 30 than 20 now, so I'm not sure if I can still say that. Yeah. There's always the show, the new show that everyone is talking about, right? That you feel kind of FOMO-ish if you don't watch and you don't know what people talk about. But honestly, if you're gonna cut out that show or maybe spread it out over a longer period of time, now you will create the space you can use to change things around, and it necessarily doesn't need to be forever. I literally just moved it for now. So how can to change the foundation, the base, what I wanna do to create new environment, analyzing how we spend our time and maybe use that time to focus on the change is one valuable lesson I definitely learned through the past few years that I started changing like a lot. The block of self, why would I call it like that? You know, it's big and it's heavy. It's like the self-talk that we have. It's a perfect metaphor for an important concept in change. It's really hard to move, like it's just like you just need to listen to it. Do you hear it? Well, how can you hear it when you are so far away? Do you hear it now?
I always been like that. I was born like that. They always told me that I'm like that.
So this good old block, it represents the stories that we have about ourselves, that if we're not gonna move, the change is gonna be way more difficult. And I'm gonna tell you a secret. You need to promise that you're gonna keep it in mind, because it's one that is really important. I still struggle with till this day to accept. The thing is that our thoughts are actually not us. They are just thoughts. They are just there. It's like change or time. You can work with them or you can not pay attention to them and let them control you. But the thing is that they are just there. It's like dreams. Like you don't have control over it. It just happens and you can pay attention to it, take it seriously, take it close to your heart or not. Really, they are amazing in the sense that if there would be no thoughts, I would not create this video. I would not have feelings and stuff like that. But really, sometimes they are not helpful to us. And if you're gonna pay too close of attention to them, they can make our life way more difficult than it is. They make definitely change more difficult because they often tend to keep us the same, because that's how it's comfortable for them basically. And if you listen to them, then it makes us comfortable staying the same. Is the thoughts that we tell ourselves about who we are, about what we can do and what we cannot do, about if we can change or if we cannot change, and who we always been and who we always gonna be. But like I said, it's just thoughts. It's not reality. It's not impossible to move the table now, right? We can move it that direction, and that's good thinking out of the box. You know, thinking out of the box. We just listen to it. Yeah, okay, I tried. When we already did so many little changes, and when we already worked so hard to change and create the space to come to the big change, if we're gonna change this one now, it gives us even more space than we would have if we would like to just move the table alone. This is one of the most valuable lessons I learned through my life so far, that one big change you can look back on is made from small tiny changes over time that will add up, and in a combination with time you will get to a point where you changed so much, and it doesn't feel like that day by day, but when you look back you'll see how much change you actually did by just changing the small little pieces. Already, even though when I'm not in the position where I want to be, it still made so much difference by only moving a few little pieces, and we got there. So yeah, that's the lesson I learned. The change is always with us, so it's better to just try to manage it than being angry about it, or we can be happy about it. If you feel more happy in life, everything is better. We already did so much progress, so we can do this one together, right? Just come. Do you get why I was trying to change this position? The light from the window is way better, so I can have natural light and not to use artificial lights, because quite frankly I don't have any artificial light so far. In the same way I don't have any mic. And this is just one angle to record my face. There's another one that we can use to just have such a dynamic environment like this. Even though now it's raining and it's cold, and I still would like to have some light that would be directly in my face, because now it's just a backlight. But yeah, look at that. Enjoy the beauty, you know. And this angle, that's also awesome. I just need to move the bench and make it a little nicer there. And first you're gonna see what weather is here, as well as how else would I get such an amazing background, right? And just moving here now. Moving here to this country and moving this table here as well. The final part that usually comes after the change, or after the little changes we did. We should reward ourselves for doing changes, because changes are really hard to do, and it takes a lot of effort and energy to change, to create the new environment, and even to do the little changes that eventually become the big change that other people see and that we see only when we reflect back to the beginning. Common way that people like to treat themselves is like have a piece of chocolate. Maybe you can watch the new show for half an hour or scroll Instagram for a little bit, but I think the biggest reward you can give yourself, or at least that's what works for me, is to honestly, with open heart, tell yourself that it's hard to do something like the thing that you did, put all the effort that you put into it and all the energy into it, and it wasn't easy, and you should be proud of yourself. And if you're not gonna tell it to yourself, I'm gonna tell it to you. I'm proud of you. You did really well, and you deserve a hug. Well, that's definitely one thing that I think people forget, that it's not as easy as it might look like to change something, even small. And getting praise, I know, is something we don't do often in our society. It's one thing that I crave a lot, not necessarily from others, which I got so much lately, thank you for that so much, but from my own self, because I tend to be my own worst critic. I know all my faults, I know all my flaws, and I can give myself a really hard time in my own head, and I often forget to tell myself that I do a really good job pushing myself forward and trying to take on challenges that are just not easy, and that trying something that is really hard is admirable, and I should be proud of myself. So yeah, I'm proud of myself, not only for losing weight, but for me to trying to finish my matric, starting these stories that I'm telling myself, and that I'm telling you as well. If there is one thing that you should remember from this episode is to give yourself some slack and give yourself some praise. It doesn't need to be chocolate, to just open your own heart and tell yourself that you did a really good job and that you are proud of yourself. Hello friend, it's me Dennis from the future. Now I'm editing the video and I realized that I never said thank you for the huge support. So many people wrote me that they are excited about the next video and that they are glad that I started, and I appreciate it. It's not on a daily basis that I would be getting so many compliments. I hope every week like this one, or I believe that every week it's gonna be better and better. Also, I would like to check in on you. This is my second week and my second story that I told you that will let you know me a little bit more. And I would like to check on you because I know that a bunch of you guys actually got into the wagon with me and that we are going on the same rails and trying to achieve some goals that we set up for ourselves. So thank you for the comments last time. I did respond it and I know that you didn't got notifications, so I'm gonna put like a little tutorial how to do it on iOS. You need to just turn on notifications on YouTube. So if you wanna see my responses, just do this little tutorial on iOS. I don't know how it's done on Android, but I can imagine it's gonna be pretty much similar. I hope the weather is gonna get better soon, because let me actually know how the week went for you. What progress were you capable of making, and were there any hurdles? Because for me there definitely was. The audio got tough from like half of the video because it started raining so heavily and I didn't realize it's gonna be so hard. So that's one thing that I gonna be looking out for the next episodes. But right, you live, you learn. That's the part of the process. Yeah, that's gonna be it for me. Thank you for watching. For those who are not yet subscribe, like, notification bell icon, and write down to the comments whatever you're gonna work on next. And if you didn't saw my first video, there's gonna be my first video on my channel, but it's just 2 videos for now. And I'll see you next Saturday. Bye.